Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we have a special guest. We are doing something a little bit different, something other than Monday Night Motivation. And so today we're just going to open the floor to talk about just what's trending. What's trending today, we're going to talk about the Colin Kaepernick video that's on Netflix. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it because there might be some spoilers in there. So make sure that you leave a comment in the description box about what you think. But I'm going to reveal my special guest that will be talking with me today. And it is my twin sister, you guys.
Hi, guys.
Oh my God. So this is Brianna. She's my twin, of course. And today I watched the Colin Kaepernick video, and then I was like, oh my God, Brianna, you have to watch this. And so she watched it, and then we got to talking on the phone about what we thought should go into the video, what we thought about it overall, and I figured that this would be a good opportunity for us to talk about it on video. So it's called Colin the Black and White. Is it the black and white?
I thought it was white to black. What?
White to black. Ooh, maybe we should.
The title.
I will put the. We both forgot. I will put the title in the description box below, and hopefully you guys can go on Netflix and watch it. But it kind of talked about Colin Kaepernick's life and how he was raised. And, you know, the beginning of it threw me for a loop. And it brought a lot of, there are so many similarities to slaves back in the day to the way the NFL looks at their players. And that is the part that I really wanted for him to talk more about.
For me, he went heavy quite quick. So he went heavy in the contrast of the combine that you go to, that players go to be looked at, as far as how fast you are, how tall you are, how quick you are, how high can you jump. And he correlated that to the slaves and how they were looked at in a similar way about their stature and how big they were, how strong they were, how fast they were.
But don't you think he could have I feel like he could have went a little bit further with that. It felt like we got a snapshot and then it went right into his life.
Well, let me just tell you how I feel about that. In the way that he was trying to depict that analogy of the combine and the athletes, and I have a slight problem with that. Here's the reasons why. The slaves didn't, first of all, wasn't a choice. They were put up there, looked at, no choice.
Right, we talked
the
about
combine,
that.
You have a choice. You go to, you want to be scouted out, you want to be looked at, this is your dream, this is where you want to take things. So I appreciate where he was going with it, but I find those two things very different. Not only in the combine, when you are being looked at and you are being measured, there are some white players with you. These slaves, it was not a choice, brought up in front of people who they were controlled by.
But can't you see, do you see, I get what you're talking about, kid, but can't you see I know where you're going with it because we talked about this before, but the connection between the NFL and that.
Yes.
I realized that as slaves, they didn't have a chance to go to a combine and be looked at by a bunch of, but I felt like that opened the door to explaining more of what discrimination or what happens in the NFL. I wish that he would have went a little bit further into that.
Right, because the connection between the two seemed very, like he was making a very clear statement about the connection between feeling that, maybe it was a more about the feeling that he had but I think you have to be careful when you have a depiction of something where people were controlled over something where you have a choice and this is what you want to do. And we're all tested in life, whether it be how smart you are, how fast you are, can you multitask, we're all being tested in that way. So
do you think he should have just took that part? He shouldn't have put that part in that way? Or do you think that part is still important?
I don't think that it is.
Because I think he was trying to capture, like, what America's doing.
Yeah, I get that. I get that.
You know
part.
what I mean?
I get that part. I understand that. But when it comes to, I get that part. I understand where he was going with it. But when you start to peel that onion, there's a deeper meaning for both. And I don't know if necessarily they can be.
I just wish he didn't dab at it. I wish he would have went all the way in with it.
Yeah.
So then we're moving on to his life and his parents. Let's talk about his parents. You want to talk about his parents?
Yeah, let's talk about his parents.
So, what do you think about his parents?
I feel like the way he depicted his parents as being a little bit naive to what he was going through, really naive to the situation. I don't think they were. I think his depiction of them in that time was, really respectfully his point of view, and you can only do so much to capture those moments on film. So it's difficult. But at the end of the day, he kind of made it seem like weren't
showing his parents' struggle and what it was like to adopt a black baby amongst their own community. Like they probably went through it too,
yeah,
right?
They had to have gone through some scrutiny in their own community, being a white family that adopted a little black kid, and he kind of depicted it as if they were oblivious or naive to that. And I think that
they had some
struggles with it too. If you really talked maybe to them about it, I believe that they had some struggles too within their own, for lack of whatever, white community that they probably were scrutinized as well. And he didn't do a very good job in kind of showing that his parents may have gone through some struggles with him being a black kid too.
And I don't understand why he didn't feel like he could have educated his own parents on how he feels to be black, and you know what I mean? I felt like he didn't explain some things to his mom and to his dad, even though in some of the scenes, like we talked about, we liked how he captured the small things, just the subtleties
that people like to act like aren't racist, or that makes you feel different from the rest of the group. Him at the pool, all the kids are messing around, goofing around, but the teacher comes in and scolds only him when it was the whole entire class doing something.
Like the one where they're in the hotel and they go up to the black group and they say, "You guys can't be loud," but there's a full-on wrestling match going on over here.
Right.
That's when I was like, oh, there's another subtlety that's like, And that they had even said that they were kicked out the last time they were there.
Right.
And literally right next to the kids wrestling, they were like, "You guys can't be loud." And they had just walked in the door. So it was like, what are you talking about? But I wish that he would have educated his family a little bit more about how he was feeling personally. But I will say he had a solid ass friend.
Yes, he had a solid friend. But before we get to the friend, back to the parents, another thing that was kind of obvious, that he kind of depicted it as though he did not benefit from the privilege that his parents had. He wouldn't have been able to go and do all of those football, tryouts and all of that stuff for the colleges if his family didn't come from money. So in a way, you are privileged. You benefited from that privilege, and not a lot of kids that really have to come from nothing and in the hood and struggling and, really get the opportunity to try out for that many schools, one. And if they did have a chance to try out, they really had one option, and they had to be great in one snapshot of this practice or whatever, and not so many opportunities. Even though he was let down a lot by a lot of the colleges, he had the opportunity to be there to practice.
And I mean, baseball, they was trying to grind that baseball into that boy, and he was just like, no. So he had, because he was a, what do you call that? A person that does more than one sport, a triathlete or whatever, where they can play baseball, basketball, you know. So he was one of them. So he did have different options, not so much with baseball with basketball, but with baseball for sure. And even people who are in the NFL right now didn't have to go through that struggle. You know what I mean? It's like you didn't have to get raised poor. You weren't. Yeah,
you didn't really have a struggle. You benefited from the privilege that your parents had and the money that they had, and so he kind of depicted. I'm not sure if that was his idea was to ever make it look like he came from some kind of struggling family, but he definitely had opportunities that I think most of the black kids in the NFL really didn't.
But to people like us, or even other athletes that have struggled, they're like, man, you didn't have it that hard. Yeah. I mean, you were second best in everything because like you were second best in being adopted, and then you were second best because, you know, they wanted you to do baseball instead of football. And but man, yeah, you got a point there. He didn't really struggle. You know, he had hot meals on the table every day, and he even had a car in high school. And it was like,
let's go to what his afro, what he was wearing, like all of that. What do you think about that?
Okay, I'm sorry, but his afro needed some shaping. It was an odd shape, and I think it was too Black Panther-ish. To me, it was more, and once again, I don't know why this bothers me, but it does. It's like we use the things that happened to us, Black Panthers, you know, all of that stuff, and we kind of make it into a costume. And so I kind of had this feeling that he kind of made it a little bit more costumey than. And the one thing that I remember is, I don't know if you caught this part, but he's sitting there, he's in the black, he's got the black turtleneck on, and the white lady comes out with a drink. I was like, is that I didn't understand and he didn't even drink it, he just kind of held a drink in his hand.
I think that was a montage to back in the day, most servants were black
women. Right.
And instead he made it a white woman serving him as a black man.
Right,
you know?
That's what I thought. What I thought.
Yeah, I think that's what that was. But yeah, I felt like his outfit came on a little strong. I think that his outfit was a little bit, deliberate, maybe too deliberate. So yeah, I think that it was a little strong. I think it was a little deliberate.
Sorry. So I thought that maybe I didn't know if that was one of those little jabs or whatever. It just seemed a little bit weird. But what I did like was what do you call that? The cinematography, where he actually when he went to write the note to himself
at the end,
how it was almost like it was real life.
He walked into the screenplay, was actually in the footage in the screenplay. I loved what he said at the end.
Wait, let's talk about his friend. Oh yeah, I think his friend is. I think they switched roles. You know what I mean? It was the white friend that was doing the low-key dirt, and the black friend that was doing the.
And he didn't want to put him in a bad position. But I think that the little white kid that was his friend understood him more than he
understood himself.
Right.
More than he understood himself. His friend was like, "You don't want this, and I'm gonna make sure you ain't got this because you have an opportunity that I don't have."
But he also understood it in a way, even when he said in a joking manner, like, no, I don't want you to come with me because if I get caught, I just go to jail. But if you're with me, we might both die.
We might both
get shot. And I think that was his way of really, even though they kind of laughed about it, I think that was his, true understanding of, what you pose as a black person, versus
and what
me.
white people see
versus me. Right.
So then we were talking about the end. I just want to talk about the friend because I really like the friend for some reason. So now we're talking about the end. And what were you going to say that you liked about the end?
About the letter that he kind of wrote to himself and about not ever, losing your power and giving up your power and knowing your power, really. I think that he really hit that nail on the head. I think that there's going to be more, but I think, and we talked about this before, it would be nice for him to add that into who he is today. Like, why were you kneeling? What was it really about your career from your perspective? Because when you watch TV, everyone has their own idea of what he should have done. He committed career suicide and he shouldn't have done that. And, he was right at his, kind of peak in the NFL, just getting, playing with San Francisco and, just to kind of get his side about that, would be.
Which is why you're right when you said there's probably going to be more, because we didn't even get a chance to see that side. So I think there's going to be a little bit more coming up. And if there is, trust and believe, we will be sitting here talking with you guys about it. So that was my favorite thing. And when he got into the car and he went to go to college and then he found the note in his bag, like I was almost in tears.
One thing that was real heavy that is true that I really liked that he opened up in I hate to skip around, sorry, but that he opened up, and it was about black hairstyles and the hairstyles that some athletes have. And for some reason, a hairstyle means some kind of threat in some kind of way.
Allen Iverson.
Yeah. And or the kids being forced to change their hairstyle because I don't know what a hairstyle does to a child who's playing baseball, but it reminds me of the kid who had to cut his dreadlocks to wrestle. I mean, so the hairstyle idea, definitely an issue. Definitely a thing. Definitely it was a black kid with braids. It was a black kid with dreads. It's definitely a thing. And I agree that Allen Iverson came in, kind of did what he was and was who he was. Same thing with a lot of other basketball players. Dennis Rodman came in and was what he was and did what he wanted to do, even with his hair and all the funky colors that he was doing. So for some reason, hair is a thing. And I'm still trying to figure that out.
I think we should, maybe one day that's a good topic to talk about. That's a good topic to talk about.
Right.
We have so much that we want to share with you guys. And I'm so excited that I was able to introduce you guys to my twin and that we are able to talk about the Colin Kaepernick thing. This is just our opinion. I'm sorry if we did any spoiler alerts for you guys, but I encourage you guys to actually watch the video and or it's like a series, episodes, whatever. And watch it and leave a comment down in the comment section below and let me know or let us know what you thought. Let us know about what you thought about our own opinions. And yeah, so we'll do this again. Do you have anything to say to them, guys?
Thank you guys for letting me come on. Thank you for letting me come on. I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you so much for supporting my sister and her channel. You guys have a great day.
Bye.